Welcome to Think Tech. We're raising public awareness about technology, energy, diversity, and globalism. This show is Center Stage. I'm your host, Donna Blanchard, proud managing director of Kumukuhua Theater. And we're coming to you live from Pioneer Plaza in the heart of downtown Honolulu, very near Kumukuhua Theater. I am very excited today to welcome as my guest Mr. Kevin Jones. This guy does a whole lot of stuff. You probably, if you don't recognize the name right off the bat, you've heard his voice singing or speaking, or you've seen his face. He's involved in so many different aspects of media and marketing and television and radio and the whole music scene in Honolulu. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Kevin Jones.
Hi, Donna. How you doing? Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me on the show today. I'm really excited.
Yeah. Thank you for being here. I'm really glad we got this worked out, because I know you have a very busy schedule.
Oh, no, I would have made time for this, just say the word. Yeah.
So sweet. And that coming from a newlywed.
Yeah, yeah. Got married just about 30 days ago. My wife, Joy, is at home watching, and happiest I've ever been. She's my perfect match, and we've been kind of moving in similar circles for 20 years. And we never met. We have a lot of the same friends, and we used to shop at the same stores, go to the same concerts, and she's known members of my family and inner circle, and we just never met. We never met until 2 years ago, and as soon as we did, it was like twin flames, boom, and it just, yeah.
Oh,
so I'm really,
nice.
really excited and happy, and now we're kind of planning the future, looking at what we can do together. So, yeah.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
So you have the same
romantic,
music too. Were you Facebook friends? This has nothing to do with where we're going with the show.
No,
I apologize.
No, not
you
at
weren't
all.
even
No,
Facebook friends.
No.
That's beautiful.
And we weren't even actually supposed to be in the same place the night we met. I was invited to play at Gordon Biersch down in Aloha Tower one night with some friends, and I wasn't even a member of that band at the time. They said, no, come and play. And so through her best friend's sister, they invited her to come down and watch, and she was at home, and she said, no, I don't think I want to come down. They convinced her to get dressed and come down, and there she was, and yeah, it started with a great conversation, and now we're married. I know, it's really beautiful.
That's a lovely story.
Thank you.
Cool. And she seems like a very lovely person. You got to meet her. Let's break down for just a moment, if we could, everything that you are working on right now.
Right now, okay, well, starting with tonight, I'm playing the part of Perseus in metal musical Medusa, a metal musical by Storm, written by the band Storm. It's an original heavy metal piece of music that they've put live acting to at the Kumukuhua Theater. And it's really something like I've never ever seen here in Hawaii, something never attempted, where they've taken Greek mythology and they've kind of tweaked the story a little bit to sort of make a lot more sympathy toward Medusa, kind of as sort of the victim in the story. And it stars Sandy Esmond, lead singer of Storm, as Medusa. I'm playing Perseus. Kaimi Hananoeau is playing Poseidon, and Margaret Ransdall is playing Athena. And so the four of us are acting out this sort of saga set to music, and it's really something. It definitely stretches, the bounds of singing and acting and presence and that kind of thing, working within a space. So that's tonight at Kumukuhua Theater. It's sold out, but I'm hoping that we're going to be able to do another performance very soon, either at the theater or anywhere else. It's really up to the band to kind of determine that. Yeah. So that's one thing. I'm also a DJ on Star 101.9, Hawaii's new music alternative. You can hear me every Sunday now. From 4 to 10 p.m. I have a show called Unsigned Hawaii. It's the first and longest running showcase of local alternative music on Hawaii radio. And we started it about a little 4.5 years ago. And it's still going strong. There's more alternative and rock music here in Hawaii than there ever has been before. And that's something that I've been a part of since my early days, for over 20 years. So I'm really, really kind of proud to carry the flag and bear the standard of this music.
Cool.
Yeah.
How do you define alternative music?
It's tricky. That label here in Hawaii kind of means something that I feel like it doesn't mean in other places, because here it gets all grouped into one bag, sort of singer-songwriter type of thing, or heavy metal, or hard rock, or electronic music, or sometimes even sort of folky type of bluegrass type of things. It all gets lumped into this category of alternative that in other places they don't call it that. So we've gone to California, we've gone to Japan, we have friends in Russia, and we've tried to spread the word of this music. And you say alternative, and they have a much different conception of what alternative music means. So I suppose here in Hawaii, what it means is anything that is not Hawaiian music or reggae, really. Yeah.
Covered by the other, under the
Yeah,
other
or
umbrella.
jazz. I mean, I think that jazz is definitely its own genre here, but those three being three solid, definable, recognizable genres here in Hawaii. Anything that's not that tends to fall into the so-called alternative category.
Oh.
And, you know, and so I think also due to critical mass and just the number of artists there are, which is not a whole lot, so, you know, everybody tends to kind of stick together and, you know, kind of group themselves into one category, and that's what essentially alternative music is here in Hawaii, and I'm happy to champion that.
I've always wondered about that explanation. I mean, I come from the Chicago market, and I spent some time in Detroit, and, you know, music,
Yeah.
There's a ton of music to choose from, and when you select alternative there, you hear something different than you hear here.
I think
it's more broad
you
here.
hear something different in Chicago than you hear in Los Angeles, or than you hear in New York, or than you hear here, or that you hear in Tokyo, or that you hear in Britain. You know, what it's become and you know, how it's labeled is different everywhere. And I think that's one of the major shifts that's happened in music is that, you know, you probably heard it before, oh, it's become so niche. Well, that means that what people define it as and what their tastes are so different across the board, and they have access to it now so much that, I mean, what is alternative? I have had that discussion with my program director, Jamie Hyatt at iHeartMedia many times. What is alternative? I don't know. What is alternative? You know, and I think for Star 101.9, it really comes down to something that really fits the pulse and the lifestyle and the energy of Hawaii. You know, I mean, when you listen to Star 101.9 here in Hawaii, it sounds like a lifestyle. It sounds like the beach. It sounds like the sun. It sounds like something very bright and not terribly heavy and that kind of thing. Whereas if you were to go to a mainland city like Chicago, or if you were to go to Detroit, if you were going to go to New York City, Los Angeles, much heavier probably. You know,
it's more underground.
Yeah, a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
So it's really, that definition is really up in the air. The answer is, I don't have an answer, you know.
So you have a really broad selection of what you can choose to play.
Well, I mean, some of that is subject to the program director's discretion, of course, but I mean, I definitely open my arms wide to all the different bands that are out there and, you know, artists that are out there, and ask them to submit their music to me, you know, so that I can take a listen to it. And that's one thing is, I like to be able to listen to it, you know. I won't just, you know, either pass it on or put it away. I want to be able to listen to it, give it a good listen, and try to find the songs within it. Sometimes it's not even the song the artist asks me to focus on, but I like to at least be able to give it that, and then send it to the program director and say, well, you know, what about this? What about that? And more often than not, he'll pass it through. I mean, there will be a couple of times where we had discussions about, okay, does this fit? Does this not fit? That kind of thing. But you know, I'm at least proud to be a part of the selection and kind of I guess they call it now the curation process of it, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Hey, let me, if you don't mind my breaking down this just a little bit further. When you're going through that curation process, if you listen to a piece of music and you don't particularly care for it, but you recognize its merit within its genre, will you say yes? Will you give it the thumbs up and pass it on, or waste?
Well, what I try to do is, I mean, at least for the purposes of a mainstream alternative radio station platform, you know, I mean, knowing that it's going to be on Star and kind of needs to sort of fit that sound, I really have to kind of adapt that criteria and keep that in mind all the time, you know, because that's what they would want, and I think that's what, you know, that's the proper thing to do. Now, notwithstanding my own tastes, if I think that it would work in another way, I'll usually contact that artist and say, hey, you know, instead of being on Star, there is another local rock radio show here in Hawaii. It's called 101.5 K-Rock's Homegrown Show, and it's actually on Sunday evenings right before my show. Sometimes they will play harder rock stuff, punk rock stuff that I'm not able to play, and I've noticed that I will play stuff that they don't play, so it's actually quite complementary. Sometimes I'll send the artist in that direction, or sometimes I'll flat out say, you know, I think that maybe you're spinning your wheels trying to be on radio. Maybe you should try to, you know, go market yourself online better. There's a whole huge international market of music online, and there's so many ways to deliver it. Pandora, Spotify, Reverb Nation. I mean, there's all these different ways, SoundCloud, that are just subscribed to by millions and millions of people. And there's massive communities. Let's take electronic dance music for an example, EDM. EDM is a small following here. I believe there is there are one or two EDM radio stations here, but the following out there nationally and internationally is all on the internet, and it's huge. And you behoove yourself better as an EDM artist to market yourself that way. So I've really just tried to, over the years, identify and keep up on where this music belongs, you know, and try to help the artist, you know, point them in that direction. They may say, oh, I want to be on the radio, I want to be on the radio, how come I can't be on the radio? It's like, well, wait a minute now. That's only one format. That's only one way to get your music out there. There's all these other ways, and you have to think about, well, maybe if you do this or this or this, you'd have just as much success, if not more, you know, and that's something I really like to do for artists all the time.
Very cool.
Yeah.
You get an opportunity to do that too. Okay, so what else? You are involved with several different bands?
Yeah, I have 3 bands of my own. 2 are...
Because one isn't enough.
Oh, no, of
2,
course not.
not so much.
That's always been the joke. Everybody's like, what band are you playing with tonight? I have 3 bands. One is called F-Bomb, wild, loud rock band, you know.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you what the F stands for. One is called Wrecked.
If people are watching my show, they probably know.
Yeah. One is called Wrecked, W-R-E-K-T, and that's another slightly more tame, you know, band that kind of we try to play songs that both bands try to play songs that other bands don't play, and where F-Bomb's a little bit more harder rock, Wrecked is a little bit more keyboard, a little bit more, you know, like modern new music, and just sort of attempting things that other, you know.
That's more new. Is F-Bomb more classic?
Yeah, a little bit, I would say. And then I have an original project that's been ongoing for years and years called the Desert Sea.
Yeah, tell me about that.
That's something that I conceived of when I first moved back here to Hawaii in 2005. I'm originally from here, but I moved to Las Vegas in 1997, and I came back here in 2005. I did original music in Las Vegas and actually had quite a bit of success there with a band called Crash Dove. And all along the way in Las Vegas, I maintained my friendships back here with 2 really key musicians. That would be Derek Ho and Christopher Deal, and also a drummer named Dan Marich. And when I moved back here, well, we just kind of picked up right where we left off. I'm in F-Bomb with Chris Deal, and I'm in Wrecked with Derek Ho. And Derek and I are pretty much the Desert Sea with other musicians around us right now. And that's original music. It's a lot about the collision of opposites. It's a lot about, you know, emotive music, that kind of thing. It's heavy, it's light, it's, you know, tends toward, you know, sort of atmospheric tones. It's, you know, it's a lot of guitars and a lot of effects and that kind of thing.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think I understand what you're saying. I think I need to hear it.
Okay, I need
Is
to
this
bring
a
you
project that is, no, I'm not
No,
trying to get
I
a
need to bring
free
you
CD.
yeah.
But is this project that, are you playing out anywhere?
The Desert
Is
Sea
the
has
Desert
not played
Sea,
live in a little while. We've done a lot of specialty gigs in the last few years, and live the band probably hasn't played for about maybe a year and a half. The other 2 bands have been a lot more active. But we've gone into the studio and we're almost done with the debut album. I just need to finish the vocals, and I can hear my band members and our engineer friend Cooper listening to this going, all right, so you said it, now you better get your butt back into the studio and finish, you know, yeah.
But that could be a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's high time.
Yeah,
So.
that's intriguing. Okay, we're going to go to our first break, so hold on for just a moment. We will be right back with Kevin Jones, who's involved in Medusa, as well as a whole bunch of other things that we're going to dig deeper into in just a moment. We'll see you in a few.
Okay, this is Think Tech Hawaii, and it's Wednesday. Every Wednesday is Energy Wednesday here in Hawaii, the state of clean energy. 4 to 5 p.m. every Wednesday. Come and listen to us. And just to show you what I mean, I'm going to ask Sharon to tell us more.
Come and see us every Wednesday, as Jay said. And we have people like Jim Albers from HECO here and co-host Ray Starling here every Wednesday. We not only go on Olelo and OC16, but also stream live. So please come visit us, hear about the latest in clean energy.
Okay, Jim, you've been here. You got any comment on all this?
As important as energy is in all of our lives today, this is a great forum and a great format to vet those issues. So I encourage everybody to listen in and participate.
Okay, Ray, what do you think for a close?
Well, I think this is the greatest show in the energy world here in Hawaii. You can come here every week, 1 hour, and catch the latest on what's happening and hear from the people who really know what's going on, like Jim Alberts. We appreciate your coming today.
Thank you.
Ray Starling, Sharon Moriwaki, Jim Alberts. And Jay Fidel here in Hawaii, the state of clean energy, 4 to 5
Aloha.
p.m. Wednesday. Aloha.
Aloha.
Hi, welcome back to Center Stage on the Think Tech Digital Network. We are coming to you from Pioneer Plaza in the heart of downtown Honolulu, very near Kumukuhua Theater. And I want to let you know two things. One, if you would ever like to be in our studio audience, you may do that. Just email jay@thinktechhawaii.com. And also, if you would like to join in the conversation, you can tweet us at ThinkTechHI. That's us, and I have a screen right there that I can look to and see your tweet, and you can join into the conversation. Okay, so we're here talking with Kevin Jones, who is a I see I'm having trouble saying what you are. You're a musician, and you're a radio personality, and you're a television personality. Is that a current project?
Last year, I hosted a show called Hawaii Rock Awards TV,
Yeah.
focusing on rock music in Hawaii. And every few years, it seems, I pick up the ability to host shows. Let's see, I've hosted TRX TV and also Soul Sessions TV. Those are all locally broadcast television shows here in Hawaii, dealing with the music scene, dealing with a lot of rock, a lot of singer-songwriter type of stuff. And Hawaii Rock TV is on hiatus right now while we try to get more funding and get some more episodes done. I actually just met with the creators last week. But I'm always endeavoring to be sort of the face and the voice of what I call the music of Hawaii, which is everything like we talked about that is not Hawaiian, reggae, or jazz. I really want to be sort of the standard bearer and known as sort of a good representative of this sound. So that's where the TV presence comes in.
Awesome. It sounds like you're doing a pretty good job.
Thank you.
That
I'm
also.
trying. Yeah.
Okay, so anything else? Is there anything else that you're working on right now?
Not that I can really
can't
think
really
of.
fit
I'm
anything
an independent consultant right now to a few different artists and businesses, just trying to help them kind of with their imaging and their marketing outside of Hawaii. Well, inside and outside Hawaii, to kind of refine it a little bit and keep it modern, so that we're not falling behind at all, with our geographic isolation, making sure that, like I told you with artists, that making sure that they know that the internet is a powerful tool to market themselves and that to target their marketing for where they want to go, where you want to go. And also to local businesses looking for promotional things, looking for events, hosting, that kind of thing. And I'm always doing that type of thing.
Oh,
yeah.
so, okay, let's go back just a little bit. When you're consulting with someone, are you actually helping with them with, graphic design, or you're talking with them about here's where you go, here's who you talk to?
That kind of thing, yeah, much more. I mean, Sonic is always going to be my best suit. I'm not a graphic designer, by any means. I know some good ones though.
I don't even know what Sonic is.
Yeah, just-
It's a restaurant in Phoenix.
Sonic the Hedgehog, right? Yeah, it's really good burgers too. Yeah, yeah. The owners of Sonic, open a Sonic here in Hawaii, please.
No, and sponsor us.
Yeah, no, just audio sound is really, that's really where I excel. But I try to take a look at the artist's imaging, kind of how they look and present themselves, and like I said, just different ways that they can get their music out to the masses and utilize the internet and analytics to figure out where people are listening to their stuff and then go and play there. Rather than, hey, let's fly to LA and get in a van and just drive up the West Coast and go on this sort of kind of meandering tour. I think there's a lot more of a strategic way to go about it, and so I try to share my knowledge of that and of the current state of the music industry. With artists as they come to me and ask me questions about it. I'm always happy to share.
Oh, very
Yeah.
cool. So you have a mix of artist as well as the business analytical side of things.
Absolutely. I really tried to diversify myself over the years. I got into this as a player, as somebody who sings and plays music and wanted to make that my life. And be careful what you ask for, because 25 years later, this has really become my life. But I've really been able to sort of diversify my knowledge and my experience so that it's not just, singing and, playing an instrument. It's like knowing how to operate in a business environment, knowing the ins and outs of a corporate media structure, such as iHeartMedia, knowing how record labels work, knowing how, music sales are divvied up or not divvied up, knowing how, music money is made or not made, knowing how to put together a tour. or knowing how to make a life in music, and still being passionate about music, but not having to kill yourself as a result of it, and not necessarily being able to reach it. I call it Katy Perry, and I don't mean to be mean to Katy Perry, but it's like the ones that are really making money in music these days are only the Katy Perrys and the Taylor Swifts and the Kanye Wests. I mean, the really, really, really big ones are the only ones really making money. And nowadays, just putting out a record to, I'm going to put out a record and I'm going to sell it and I'm going to make money from it. It doesn't work that way anymore. So I try to kind of educate them a little bit and arm them with the knowledge that I have. I'm a firm believer that any artist who's smart enough and motivated enough could manage themselves. So I call myself a consultant, a coach, and I'm not actually, kind of like, helicoptering over any one artist or another, but I'm always trying to tell them what I know and what I learned and, anything new that I've heard, just keep up on it. And so every day I'm hitting the internet, just looking at articles and just kind of trying to put my finger to the wind and figure out where things are going. And that's anybody's guess. I mean, there are people far smarter and more experienced than me that are doing the same thing, so I look to them too, and it's just, nobody knows.
Nobody knows. The weirdest things, I was just listening to something today about that, the meme that was the dress. Is it blue and black or is it gold? Who would have ever thought that something like that would catch on the way that it did? And everyone knows what the dress is. It's crazy. Who would think that?
Blue for me, but then I have weird color perception, so. What about you?
I don't even know. By the time I saw it, I think I was a little behind the game. I was busy that day, so it came to my attention the next day, and I saw two separate pictures of it, and one was clearly blue and black, and the other was gold and tan or whatever it was.
Yeah.
So I have to say it's a difference in your monitor was at least had to play part in it.
Right.
We have a tweet. What are the major differences you've experienced performing live here in Hawaii versus other states? This is from Gorilla Camera.
All right, Gorilla, thanks for the question. I think the biggest difference is the enthusiasm of people to come out and see the show. I think that in the States, there's just a lot more openness to different types of things, whether it be music, whether it be art. There's just more of a constituency on the mainland and in other places that are enthusiastic about something different and that will actually make the effort to go out and check it out. Whereas here, it's kind of like the pool is smaller, people is smaller, not only that, but their actual will to like get up and actually show up, The joke I like to make here is more people will like your Facebook post about your show than will actually show up to your show.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
I find that to be the case here. And it's sort of the opposite I've found in the States, where you can put something up and nobody will have ever heard of you, and maybe 3 people will like it, but suddenly you'll have 20 people, and I mean, for not knowing you at all in a really small place, you'll have 20 people there that are just kind of curious and checking you out because that's what they do. They're interested in that kind of thing.
They're out. Why is that? Well, we get the same thing at the theater, that there are a lot of people who, you can go out here at night and see some really great music happening and not a lot of people around or the same usual faces. We get that at Kumu. We have people who have been coming to Kumu since our inception 45 years ago. And yet there are also people who say, oh, I didn't know there was a theater there. There are also people, when I say, there's a really thriving music scene on the island, they didn't know that.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that, and I mean, without, at the risk of offending anybody out there, which I don't mean to, I feel like there's a certain amount of apathy. I feel like there's also a certain amount of staying within our comfort zones here. We like what we like and we do what we do, and we don't really branch out much from that. And so, like I said, that constituency of people who are into different things and who would go check it out is relatively small. I mean, it's small enough that they're into something different, but then even smaller still are those within that group that would actually get on their jeans on a Wednesday night and go and drive 5 miles or less, even sometimes walk down the street and check something out.
Well, when I moved here, they said, okay, I had never been to the island before, so here's the theater, and now I needed to look for an apartment. So I said, okay, well, just give me some town names, because they all sounded, everything sounded the same to me. We could use more than 8 consonants. That's how I felt then. So I said, well, what about this town? Oops, sorry about the sound. What about this town, Kailua? Oh, well, that's 30 minutes away. I'm like, so? You know, it's nothing to commute for an hour. So I think that and that mentality is very prevalent here on the island. And I've gotten into it a little bit myself too, now that I've been here. We don't want to travel that much. We don't want to deal with traffic, certainly.
Yeah,
and
that's a big one.
You can run into a real snag.
Any
with
time
that.
of day or night. You could go out at 8
Yeah.
o'clock at night and hit a truck ran into a pole on the H1 and suddenly the freeway's backed up to the point where you can't move. You know,
Forget it.
That does happen, yeah. I
Yeah,
think
if you're on
so.
the windward side,
Oh,
you
yeah,
can be stopped.
or even on the
for
west
a long
side,
time.
you know, it's terrible, so.
But also, we have so much pulling at our time during the day here because of the outdoors. Even in a place where you have a big outdoor life like LA, it's just, you know, water surrounds us and the mountains are in the middle of all of us. There's so much to do that I think, this is my theory anyway, by the time it comes to the evening, a lot of people just don't want to, if they're going to do something inside, they're going to do it in their own home or with
Or
their
really
friends
close
and
by.
do something.
And also, we have to give credit to the fact that people work really hard here. I mean, you're talking 2 or 3 jobs, you know.
That's true,
And
too.
if they have families, you know, then the kids have activities and that kind of thing. I was reading an article, you were talking about traffic, you know, reading an article about how traffic dictates the life flow of some families who live on the west side, for instance. And so you take that in, you know, all together with, you know, people working 2, 3 jobs, having to get, you know, get other family members around, or maybe even, you know, look after elderly family members, and then transportation, or having, you know, like you said, you know, just the geography of the islands and that kind of thing. Yeah, that would certainly contribute to less and less people coming out.
Coming out.
You know.
But it's also all the more reason why they should, because it, you know, it's art, and it will bring you out of all of that. It'll sort of shake the dust of all of that off of you and allow you to, you know, really relax and be ready for the kids and the job tomorrow.
Yeah,
Right?
kind of an escape, or, you know, at least something to kind of stoke you up and make you feel differently, you know, for what's to come, or give you a different perspective, maybe get you into something new that, you know, if you, one night you see or hear something that you like, you're like, wow, I never knew that existed, and then suddenly you have a new passion about something, you know. That's the kind of thing that makes it all worth it.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or an idea comes to you while you're listening to
Yeah.
music that, you know, you can go hear music that you heard when you were a kid around here, and then you can also hear some wonderful brand new stuff. Okay, we're going to take our second break. We're going to be back in just a moment, and I'd like to talk about your history for a little while, how you came to be this person here, and then we'll talk a little more about Medusa too,
Cool.
because it's
Sounds
so
great.
innovative. Okay, we're going to be right back with more of Center Stage. We'll see you in a few.
Aloha, namaskar, and hello. My name is Anu Hittel, and I host the show called Climate Change Beyond Outrage. We go beyond outrage to find solutions to climate problems facing people, nations, and the world. I hope you will join me here every Tuesday at 1 o'clock. We broadcast live from thinktechhawaii.com. Aloha and bye-bye.
Aloha! How you doing? It's me, Angus McTech, wishing you to welcome and join us to see us on Hibachi Talk on Think Tech Hawaii. Join my co-hosts, Gordo the Tech Czar and Andrew the Security Guy, every Friday from 1300 to 1345. We look forward to seeing you. We'll talk tech and we'll have some wee bit of fun. And remember, let your wing gang free wherever you be. Aloha!
Hi, we're back. This is Center Stage on the Think Tech Hawaii digital series. I'm Donna Blanchard, and I'm talking with Kevin Jones, and we did get a tweet reminding us that you're also working on various projects with Tin Idol. What other projects?
Well, I've been a voice on Tin Idol Productions' different projects over the last few years. So tonight's Medusa musical with the band Storm. Storm is one of the bands under the Tin Idol's umbrella, and over the past few years, I've guested on Jesus Christ Supernova, which was a metal retelling of the Jesus Christ Superstar soundtrack.
Oh, I
played one of the
didn't
high
hear that.
priests. And I've also done 2 of the Metal Kalikimaka compilations where it was, you know, metal Christmas songs.
Those are a lot of fun.
So Gerard Gonzalez and Sandy Esman always include me, and I'm really stoked because when I look at, you know, a lot of the original music output that I've you know, done over just the last, you know, few years. It's really been a lot of that, and I'm really glad to be doing that.
Yeah, they are making things happen.
Yeah, they're definitely doers.
They are doers. They make it happen and get people there to see it. That is really cool. So we'll talk more about that. Our last segment's our shortest segment, but I would really like to talk about you. You grew up here. Where'd you grad?
I went to Castle.
Castle?
Yeah.
Okay.
K-A-S-O, Castle.
Castle. Oh, I didn't get that right. Castle.
Castle.
Were you involved in music there in school?
I just have always loved rock and roll, and
Who were you listening to?
my
like when
favorite
you were a
band of
kid?
all time is Duran Duran.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
I love Duran.
To this day, Joy and I just went to see them in San Francisco last year.
Oh, yeah.
In October. It's like no time has passed. If anything, they're better
Oh,
than
yeah.
they used to be. They sound great. I started playing piano when I was 6 years old, and my parents gave me 10 years of classical piano lessons with Cheryl Glaza Piano Studios. She was part of the Honolulu Symphony at the time.
Awesome.
And that's really where my passion for music was lit. And I would say right around the age of 11 or 12, I discovered pop music. I mean, prior to that, I mean, I knew about Motown and, you know, the stuff my parents would play for me. But, you know, what was current at the time, I was about 11 or 12. And I was like, for some reason, I said, I want to do that. But I played piano, and I thought, well, you know, this is all, you know, there's a lot of rock and roll and guitars and stuff like that. And I think one of the reasons I gravitated toward Duran Duran was because they had a synthesizer, you know, they had keyboards in the band. And so I liked a lot of other keyboard bands. But as I got a little older into my teenage years, I got into bands with guitars and that kind of thing. And then I decided I wanted to be a singer. I couldn't sing. But I had, you know, my friends and I in high school, we had our little rock band, like a lot do, and that's where I kind of started screaming into a microphone. There was a very kind and cool police officer who used to come to my friend's house every afternoon, and you know, we'd see him pull up, and we all yell, "Hi, Officer Milner!" And when he'd get out, lean against the car for a little while, and just kind of listen to us, and then, you know, come into the door and say, "Okay, guys, I got another noise complaint. You got to stop now." And we're like, okay, but you know, I mean, at least he was you know, sympathetic to what we were doing, and so as soon as high school ended, I went to the University of Hawaii, and my freshman year, I joined a band, and that band ended up playing at the Wave Waikiki. I was way too young to be playing there. I was 17, 18 years old, and so they had to let me come in through the side door to sing, and then kick me out the door as soon as we were done singing because I couldn't be in the bar. Played a lot of other different types of rock venues into my early 20s, and ended up opening for some acts. Lisa Loeb and 9 Stories would be one of them that I recall pretty distinctly, and then I moved to the mainland.
You were with those bands as a vocalist primarily?
Singer, guitarist, yeah, mostly lead singer.
What happened to the piano?
I put it away. I stopped playing for a long time. I actually didn't own one for maybe close to 20 years.
Did you miss it?
A little bit, but I got into guitar, and guitar became my thing. I've never been like a great solo player or anything like that, but I've become a pretty decent rhythm guitar player and, you know, chord player, that sort of thing, to be able to accompany myself and write songs and, you know, play with a band and that sort of thing. But just recently, I've had a piano now in my house for a couple of years, and just recently I wrote the first piano song that I've written in years, and it was a gift for
Joy. I knew.
Yeah, that's right. It was a gift for my wife on our wedding day, and a lot went into it, and I was very, very scared when I wrote it. I just had all these feelings. It was like I was letting out something that I hadn't let out in decades, and it really felt good.
Oh, that's
And now I'm like,
amazing.
okay, well, maybe that's where it's at now. Maybe that's kind of a new direction to pursue. So.
Okay, that's beautiful. That's the why of what we do. We do. If you're doing it to, you know, release stuff, to get to express, to tell a story, to relate an emotion that you have, that's the really powerful stuff. And I know a lot of the other stuff goes around it. Like, I mean, I will play my ukulele and sing because I'm trying to wind down at the end of the day sometimes, or, you know. Never to entertain anyone, I guarantee you, but the why that you do things is always my most fascinating, the most fascinating aspect of the art as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, because obviously you're someone who has a need to do it, otherwise you wouldn't have made it your
I-
life. It's your
I'm
life.
So it is my life, and I guess it's just that I'm so compelled. You know, that's really what it's come down to now. It's not, I'm not trying to be Katy Perry. I'm not trying to be Duran Duran. It's just that this is something that I embarked on years and years ago, and it's so in my blood. And I feel like in some way or another, be it large or small, I'm going to be, going to be part of music for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And I'm just really, really, really glad that it's worked out in such a way that there's all these different little pieces and moving parts to it that can propel me forward. I mean, as far as what you were talking about, just the why we we write, why we express. I read something or heard something maybe 6 months to a year ago that finally made it make sense to me. It was write what you see, write what you know, and it really brought me back to a place of it's just a very honest expression, and talking about something that is just all you and what's inside of you, and that's, I think, the most pure thing that a person can do is
Yeah.
make that expression.
It's interesting that you say that. There's a painter that, an artist whose work I saw when I was in Phoenix over the holidays, and I picked up a couple of her prints, and I contacted her and said, I'd love to talk with you on my show. Your pieces really speak to me. And they feel very personal, and they feel very singular. Like, how did she get inside my head? It almost embarrassingly so, And I contacted her about it, said, can I talk to you? And she said, that's one of the cool things about my pieces is that they're so private to her, but she keeps getting contacted by people who say, oh, that's me. I feel that way.
Yeah.
And how else can you do that but through art, that it's
And the most
moving for
meaningful
all
and
of us.
lasting things are those things that speak to people in a really honest way. I mean, a good song, a good piece of art, I mean, it speaks to people, and it may not even be what you originally intended it, to be, but it grabs them and it compels them and stays with them. And I mean, that's really a special effect to have, even on one person, even if you're not playing to millions, even if you're able to affect one person, I mean, that's really a special thing. And I think that that's another thing that my wife reminds me of a lot, which is that, through artist mentoring, through being on the radio, through having it mentored and worked with interns, through writing songs, through performing with people, it's so meaningful to know that you've even affected one person. I mean, to know that and I hear that occasionally, and it's really, really warms my heart to know that I've been able to have that effect, because it's like, wow, I didn't set out to do that. That wasn't what I conceived of 20-some years ago. As a kid, I wasn't thinking about that. It was just like, I love rock and roll, But
Yeah.
now, it's like, to be able to make a lasting impression, even on one person, then that makes life worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And you never know when you're that person, when you're having that effect on someone else. I remember when I was a kid, the moment when I said, I want to do that, talking about theater. And the people who were on stage at that time, I'm sure, have no idea that at that matinee, they were affecting that little girl so much.
Yeah.
You
yeah.
never know.
Yeah.
But when it comes from the heart, that's when we can recognize, we receive it in such a way that recognizes the fact that we're all unique, of course, but we're all so linked.
Mm-hmm. And people are really, really good barometers. They're not to be underestimated. Despite things that are said about society, people can tell when something's honest, and they can tell when something's not.
Oh, yeah.
They can tell when it's being faked. I mean, they can.
Yeah.
And so when you stumble upon something that's really honest and true, I think that everybody feels it, and it crosses genres, it crosses generations. It doesn't happen very often in the world, but when it does, it's really cool to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When it's universal. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about Medusa, and we've got some images that we're going to show while we do this. I'd like to talk about, first of all, we've got a very cool, oh, there we go, Zuri's got the logo up. Tell us about your experience with this.
Well, as I said, I've played parts in other Tin Idol productions, things like Jesus Christ Supernova and the Metal Kaliki Maka projects. And Gerard Gonzalez came to me and said, okay, well, his band Storm is writing this thing called Medusa. And originally, Jesus Christ Supernova we talked about, oh, wouldn't it be cool if it was like a live stage play? Because obviously, you know, Jesus Christ Superstar. And that didn't happen at that time, but I think that Gerard and Sandy and the band, when they wrote the music for Medusa, they said, okay, now it's time to put this to a live action thing. And he said, okay, well, will you sing the part of Perseus? And I said, of course, you know, I mean, I love working with you. And then he's like, okay, and this is gonna be a stage production. I went, whoa,
And-
whoa, okay.
And it's going to be played in a tennis court, a theater set up like a tennis court.
But
So there's no upstage.
I don't know if it's a tennis court though. I mean, it's a cool set. It's got all this graffiti all over it and kind of this sort of postmodern wasteland thing with girders broken, and it really actually looks very rock and roll. You know, I mean it.
Oh yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It wasn't meant to at all. I mean, it's a totally different
Perfect,
show that
actually.
we're doing.
I mean, you know, because originally, you know, Gerard and Sandy were talking about more of kind of a Greek-looking type of set, but I think this fits it even more for the fact of the type of music it is and the type of presentation that it's doing. That's just my opinion, but I really love the set. The set is so cool. I mean, I don't think we could have thought of anything as cool, you know. So.
You're seeing images of the members of the band. Oh, and
There's me. Oh boy.
The others were members of the band Storm. That's a nice pick.
There's Margaret.
She's playing
She's playing Athena.
Athena.
Yeah.
Lovely.
And there's Sandy. She's playing Medusa.
And-
She's got incredible voice. She's really incredible
you guys
range.
sound awesome.
Classically trained, and I think that was the most intimidating thing for me was Sandy's just got such an incredible voice, and they were like, oh well, you're going to harmonize with Sandy, and you're going to kind of play opposite this lead to her. I'm like, geez, I just hope that I can sing at that level because I mean, you know, wow. You know, so it's really, it's a cool challenge, you know.
It sounds amazing. I'm going to watch tonight. I didn't watch last night on purpose, but they also have this CD available. We're going to be selling them at the theater, and then they'll be available online, I'm guessing.
Yeah, $10 after the show this evening, and then they'll be available online after that.
Yeah. I've been a part of a rock opera before, not a metal musical. It wasn't metal. And it's when it's done well, it is such a unique genre because it brings together people who wouldn't normally come together.
Totally.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, I sent out something in my newsletter, and I know that we have some of our, longtime subscribers to the theater coming out.
Yeah.
Who are going to be sitting next to, T-Bone. And
Yeah, totally. See, yeah, that's going to be the cool thing is to look out tonight and see who's all there. You know, I mean, I really have no idea. You know, I'm thrilled that it's sold out. I was just like, wow, they did it. And now it's going to be like, okay, like what kind of mix of people is here? You know, because I have a feeling when they see it and when they hear it, and I've already told Gerard and Sandy this, be prepared for the snap because. They're going to go out and they're going to talk to people about it, and there's been some in the paper about it. John Berger wrote a great review of the album, and I believe he's going to come to the show tonight. And then the show itself will be kind of reviewed and talked about. And this is just the first show. I feel like and we should all be prepared for the fact that this is going to be done again soon.
Oh yeah, people are really anxious to see what it's all about.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have sold out if it wasn't time.
Exactly.
It's time.
Yeah.
It's time for us to wrap this up too.
I've really enjoyed talking to you.
Me too.
And thank you so much for asking me so much about my life. It's interesting, the wide range of questions and a chance to really just kind of actually think about, and reflect a little bit upon where I've been and where I want to go. So I appreciate your support, and I appreciate the support of everybody out there who, who's behind me and behind all of the different projects that I do and the radio show and everything like that. So thank you, and thank you.
Awesome.
And thanks to your crew too.
Cool. And you made some commitments. You can't forget about those now. You got to get back involved. Oh, not the CD. Desert
Sea.
C.
Yeah,
you got to get back into that.
I gotta get that. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you very much for being here. Thank you for watching. I would like to invite you to come back next week. I'm going to be interviewing Rob Graves, who's the music manager of pretty much all of the Irish bars on the island, Anna O'Brien's, O'Toole's, Kelly O'Neill's, and the Irish Rose. Yeah, right?
Rob's a good friend.
Yeah, cool. I'm interested to hear what he has to say too. Thank you for watching. I would also like to thank some people here. Zuri Bender, who is in my ear, our studio overlord. I would like to thank Rich, who's our new floor manager, who's right over there. Thanks, Rich. and Jay Fidel, who somehow manages to put it all together. We'll see you next week on Center Stage. Bye.
And that's a wrap, man.